Our female lead is a highly experienced employee at a 5-star hotel. One night, she unexpectedly gets into a traffic accident and falls into a coma. After waking up, she discovers that she has entered the body of a maid named Rose, a character in a novel she once read. While searching for clues to return home, our female lead has to accept becoming a maid, serving His Highness Prince Calix Fosman. If she displeases him, she won't even be able to keep her own life. Will her experience in hotel service from her previous life help her overcome this ordeal and return safely to the real world? Let's follow this journey together. The story begins with a terrifying accident on a dark night. Anyone who has read it must have imagined what they would do if they were in that situation. Or taming a black panther into a rabbit, a symbiotic relationship like that would be good too. Enjoying a happy life with my lovely daughter. I am a mother, and my daughter is so adorable. Or marrying the male lead to protect the family and then becoming the head of the family. Those are the unrealistic scenarios that the female lead always dreams of. Back to reality, her face clearly changed color. Really? A young man smiled and said in a gentle voice, "It's a pity, just 1 minute later and I would have beheaded you." She stood frozen, thinking to herself, "I've never imagined how to survive." The more she thought, the more frightened she became, her soul scattered. It's over. After the accident, a while later, she vaguely woke up, still complaining in her mind, "I don't want to go to work." What? Am I still dreaming? What kind of dream has a hotel in it? Is this an occupational hazard? A strange man sat majestically in a chair, looking at her. A foreigner? Did I watch an American movie and then go to sleep yesterday? She had just sat up, not yet able to figure out where she was, when the prince ordered, "Wipe it." The female lead hurriedly wet the towel, now filled with regret. I should have listened to my mother. I should have chosen a more comfortable job. Even in my dreams, it's like this. I chose the wrong path. While wiping the prince's hand, the smell of blood wafted into her nose. Suddenly, she noticed something strange in the palm of his hand. A scar in the shape of a cross appeared clearly. This scar, where is it from? Seeing her sitting motionless, the prince asked, "Not wiping?" After that, she regained her focus. Anyway, he's really handsome. Even if I'm attracted to handsome men, it won't end even after 1,000 reincarnations. Her heart bloomed upon meeting someone who perfectly matched her taste. Seeing the maid holding his hand tightly, without letting go, the prince became annoyed and said, "Can you let go now?" Seeing his grumpy attitude, she immediately changed her mind. Definitely not my type. After receiving her help, the dark prince quickly chased her away, like an evil spirit. "Once you're done, hurry up and leave." The female lead didn't bother staying any longer, muttering to herself as she left, "No matter how handsome he is, if he has a bad personality, I'll eliminate him." As soon as she opened the door and stepped out, the maids standing outside gasped in surprise, as if they had seen an A-list celebrity. A sudden scream echoed, calling out the name Rose. The female lead stood dumbfounded, not understanding what the hell was going on. "Rose? Are they calling me?" All the maids rushed to ask, "Are you still alive? Rose, are you okay? What should we do?" The female lead marveled at this vivid dream, feeling so real that it was as if it were happening right in front of her. Suddenly, a tray of glasses and a bottle of wine fell to the floor, scattering shards of glass everywhere. The butler looked at the female lead with a horrified expression, as if he had seen a ghost. His face darkened, and his mouth could only utter, "Oh my God. Rose, you're not dead yet?" A maid quickly added, "That's the butler for you." She started to feel dizzy. Why is everyone so noisy? But, this isn't Korean. She closed her eyes tightly, trying to endure the sudden pain. The image of a truck rushing towards her unexpectedly replayed in her mind. "I am Rose, daughter of Baroness Danya. My parents have passed away, and I'm working as a maid in the royal palace." The female lead was extremely confused as something kept appearing in her head. What is this? And since yesterday, I've become His Highness, the prince's maid. Her face became dazed, sweat dripping profusely. This person's memories. Unable to stand any longer, she stumbled and collapsed onto the floor. The murmuring voices of the people echoed faintly in her ears. The next morning, at the castle, the female lead looked at herself in the mirror. She still couldn't believe she had turned into another girl. It looked so absurd. Who is this? Unreal pink hair. A lace nightgown that I would absolutely never wear. Is there no way? It can't be. She looked around the room restlessly. Then she started rummaging through the wardrobe. Absurd, there must be something. There has to be something. Proof that I'm not crazy. She kept bustling around like a headless chicken, searching here and there. Finally, she discovered a strange notebook placed neatly on the table. The notebook exuded a frighteningly mysterious aura. Rose's face turned pale, and she trembled, not daring to approach it. She was so scared that she got goosebumps, tiptoeing towards the table in front of her. This book could be a clue. Touching it shouldn't cause any problems, right? Finally, Rose mustered all her courage as a woman and touched the notebook. She forced a smile and stammered, this bad feeling. A brilliant light suddenly radiated, shining directly onto her face. Rose carefully flipped through each page to check the contents inside. Disappointingly, no clues appeared. It only recorded her duties as the prince's maid. Wake up at 6 a.m. His Highness the Prince's breakfast is at 7 a.m. Receive the meal directly from the kitchen and bring it to the bedroom. After he finishes eating, help His Highness go out. Rose still hadn't given up hope. She tried to flip through and find clues. No, not this. Are there any other clues? Terrifying. Receive the order to assassinate His Highness the Prince. After reading this line, Rose's face became terrified. What was that sound just now? She stared at the notebook with worried eyes. She continued reading a few more pages of the diary the maid had written. Emily, the maid before me, is gone. Next is my turn. I'm just a maid. How can I assassinate His Highness the Prince? It's no different from telling me to kill myself. Rose stood in deep thought for a long time. This is strange. Do people usually write these things in a diary? As if it was written for someone to see. The Duke wants to kill Calix Fosman. Rose was stunned upon learning the shocking news. What? She recalled the blood-soaked hands and the strange mark on the prince's palm. Calix Fosman? Rose's hands and feet felt weak, and she couldn't even hold the diary anymore. Absurd, then it's really like I'm in a different world. Rose still couldn't accept this harsh reality. No, my career, my family, my life. First, calm down. I need to sort out the situation. The memories of this body's owner were gradually returning. I am Rose Estania, daughter of a baron. Appointed as Calix Fosman's maid. If Calix Fosman is the character I know. That's the last novel I read, and Calix Fosman is the tyrannical male lead in this novel. Not only is it considered trash, but it's also a 19+ fantasy romance novel published in the early 2000s. Rose held her head in panic. Why did I read such a novel? There are other novels that are funny, romantic, or something. Why not be the king's daughter? But did the character Rose appear in that novel? If the male lead appears as a tyrant and is still the crown prince, it means we are at the beginning of the novel. It wouldn't be strange if I kicked the bucket at any time. Just a supporting character. If it's the Calix Fosman I know, if he finds someone an eyesore, he'll behead them immediately. Rose anxiously looked at herself in the mirror. I'm going crazy. This hairstyle deserves to be eliminated. She gently touched her hand to the mirror. Then she wondered, am I really gone? I hope not. How has the hotel developed? First, I have to survive here. Calix Fosman has already murdered all his brothers and ascended to the throne. So the decision is which side to take. Rose turned to look at the diary on the bed. She carefully opened it to review the prince's service schedule. Breakfast is at 7 a.m. Oh my, he's a workaholic, so he wakes up very early. Rose confidently said while preparing her hair, I can memorize the daily tasks within 10 minutes. Alright, let's do this. Don't go against the male lead. Side with the winner. I will survive and return home safely. The flame of determination burned brightly within Rose. At the castle kitchen. Rose peeked from outside, observing. Then she entered and greeted everyone. Hello everyone, you've worked hard. The head chef asked in bewilderment, what's going on here? Rose cheerfully replied, nothing, I'm just about to take the prince's meal. He put on a thoughtful expression and said, I heard someone has become the prince's maid. The head chef stared at Rose with a scrutinizing gaze. You're still young, aren't you? She was extremely angry at being looked down upon, but she still had to put on a welcoming smile and reply, oh, of course. Inwardly, she cursed incessantly, speaking without thinking. Rose immediately focused on her work. What's the crown prince's menu today? The head chef suddenly asked back. Can't you see? Suddenly, Rose discovered that inside the magnificent castle was a filthy, dirty kitchen. She had to exclaim in horror, "It's so dirty." This detail wasn't in the novel. Seeing Rose frozen in place, the head chef sternly said, "Why aren't you answering?" She forced a bright, awkward smile and replied, "Because I lack basic knowledge. It's food for the crown prince, so I should at least know the name." The head chef paused to think and found her words quite reasonable. However, he still asked again, "You're a maid, aren't you?" Rose used her eloquence to plead with him, "Oh, please don't be like that. Tell me, or my head will roll." Finally, the head chef spared some time to explain to her. "All right. Croissants and raspberry jam made with Marylton butter, omelets with cheese, salad with kale and pink pepper sauce, and apple juice." After his explanation, he smirked and asked in a condescending tone, "But can you remember all that?" Rose grumbled inwardly, "Is he looking down on me?" After talking with him for a while, she finally pushed the food cart and left. "Thank you, I'll take this now." The hallway outside was neatly decorated and clean, unlike the kitchen she had just left. Rose carefully pushed the cart along the hallway. As she walked, she reminded herself, "All right, this is just the beginning. Absolutely, no matter what happens, don't disobey the male lead." "I thought so, but I'm already facing a crisis from the start. What should I call Calix?" "Your Highness, not Your Majesty yet." "Oh dear, I don't know. Languages from other worlds are translated, so he should be able to understand." Rose gently knocked on the door. Then, she used all her might to announce, "Crown Prince. Your Highness, I brought your breakfast." However, she was met with a frightening silence. "What? Did I do something wrong?" After a moment, Calix ordered Rose to enter. As soon as she stepped inside the room, she saw the crown prince already seated on a chair. He glanced at her with sharp eyes. Then gave a cunning smile and said, "If you were even a minute late, I would have beheaded you. But what a pity." Rose smiled confidently, having overcome one ordeal. But only a moment later, her face darkened. "But I didn't know he was crazy from the start." Rose spoke to Calix, "I'll try to be on time from now on." This was her professional hotel employee smile. Calix didn't say a word but just glanced at her. Then abruptly turned his face away. Rose breathed a sigh of relief. "I got through it, right?" She carefully arranged all the food on the table. While waiting for him to enjoy his meal, Rose glanced around. But Calix's room was extremely neat and tidy. Even his clothes were carefully hung. Strange. Isn't the crown prince's room too simple? The meal was also quite frugal, compared to other meals in the palace. I'm the only attendant. Could he be isolated? A few seconds ago, she was worried about Calix, but a few seconds later, Rose changed her mind, muttering, "It doesn't concern me." She put on her trademark smile and continued her work. "I'll explain the breakfast." Rose took a few seconds to compose herself. Then began to introduce the meal professionally. Croissants and raspberry jam made with Marylton butter, omelette with cheese, salad with kale and pink pepper sauce. She thought these actions would please Calix, but no, his whole body radiated a frightening aura. Meanwhile, Rose was still trying to finish her introduction. "And apple juice, that's all." Seeing Calix stand up, she cried inwardly, "What? What's wrong? Is something not to your liking?" He stepped closer to her, pushing her back against the wall. Calix looked like a ferocious viper. What kind of trick is this? Faced with this situation, Rose could only smile confidently and look at the crown prince. She asked, trembling, "Your Highness, what are you saying?" I'm looking at you," he said, his eyes red. "Changed your strategy, have you?" Rose immediately used her previous service skills to deal with the situation. "If you're not satisfied with the menu, I'll inform the kitchen to prepare a different one for you." She thought to herself, what strategy? If you're not satisfied, just say it. Calix removed his hand and sternly questioned, "What are you?" Rose still tried to answer politely, "I'm Rose, the one appointed as your highness's maid since yesterday." He bluntly replied, "Did I ask that?" Rose's inner outrage reached its peak. "Yes, you did." Calix demanded loudly, "Answer properly." Rose smiled confidently and replied, "Your Highness, if there's anything you're not satisfied with, I'll fix it right away." She was a highly experienced person. Having been a trainee at a 5-star hotel in 21st century Korea, accustomed to all kinds of customers. Someone like Calix couldn't defeat her. He remained silent for a long time before finally saying, "All right, clean up quickly." So Rose overcame another hurdle. She bowed respectfully and replied, "I'll tell the kitchen to fix it right away." Calix turned to leave, brushing his hand and telling her to go out. Suddenly, Rose cried out, causing Crown Prince Calix to turn around and look. It turned out she was carefully holding his coat, then gently asked him, "Your Highness, if you're not wearing this coat today, I'll take it to be mended and bring it back." After receiving Calix's nod, Rose quickly left. "Then I'll be going." The Crown Prince stood in the room with a bewildered expression. What was that all about? Outside the servants' dining hall, Rose sat eating alone. Suddenly, someone called her name, Rose. A group of maids rushed to hug her with lightning speed. Rose greeted them with her professional smile. "Hello, Mila. What's up?" Mila stared at her with teary eyes, as if about to cry. "Are you okay? Are you really okay? Nothing special happened? Your head is still there? I thought you'd gone to meet the Grim Reaper." Rose replied wearily, "I'm fine." "Stop shaking me." Mila confessed honestly, "You really are the worst maid in the Crown Prince's palace." Hearing this, Rose's heart sank. What? Am I being criticized now? Realizing her words could be easily misunderstood, Mila quickly explained, wait, I didn't mean anything bad. And you had the shortest experience and make the most mistakes. Rose became even more curious. Then why was I appointed? Mila asked with a worried expression, "Don't you remember? Last time, you broke an expensive bowl and made the head maid hate you." Rose froze at this shocking news. The former owner's memories suddenly flashed back to that scene. Thinking back, "I remember now." Mila smiled encouragingly at Rose. "Anyway, it's good that you know. If you become the Crown Prince's maid." Rose muttered to herself, "There's no way to survive." She began to use her reasoning skills to analyze the problem. Something strange. Calix, who was waiting every day to be served by a maid. A room and an outfit too simple for a crown prince. And the order to assassinate the crown prince. The contents of the diary, if my hypothesis is correct. Rose put on a serious expression and said, "I want to ask you something, Mila." She startled and replied, "Huh? What?" She immediately asked a probing question, "I wonder if there are any rumors about a new maid?" With her gossipy nature, Mila couldn't possibly not know about this. "How did you know, Rose?" "This morning, I saw the head maid enter the palace with a maid." Seeing Rose sitting still as a statue, Mila worriedly turned to her and asked, "Rose, your complexion isn't very good. Are you okay?" Her face was pale, drained of all color. "If my hypothesis is correct, I'm going to die today." She felt lost, unsure how to face this. Rose's hypothesis, the crown prince, or rather, the male lead, is not a ruthless killer. The maids who died at his hands, if they received orders to assassinate the crown prince, like me. That explains why he executed them. Reasoning along these lines made Rose reconsider carefully. The maids, so far, could be one of two things, either assassins trying to kill the crown prince, or sacrificial lambs replacing the assassins before they were ready. Rose Astania, who couldn't work, must have been threatened into being a sacrificial lamb. Just looking at the diary entries, it seems she wasn't an assassin. To be able to do this means the head maid is an ally of the Duke. The authority to appoint maids belongs to the head maid. And at that moment, the maid who entered with the head maid must be the real assassin. Or a replacement for the assassin. Or silenced. There's no reason for Rose to live like this. Thinking this, Rose's body involuntarily trembled. Mila anxiously rushed to her and asked, "Rose, are you okay? Are you all right?" She replied vaguely, "Not at all okay." Rose clutched her head, wanting to scream and cry. Why, oh why, does it have to be this novel? Her frustration seemed to reach the heavens, as the clear blue sky suddenly crackled with lightning. Mila, having never witnessed such a strange phenomenon, panicked. Why is there lightning in a clear sky? Is God angry? After a stressful afternoon of contemplation, Rose lay sprawled on her bed, exhausted. "I'm so tired," she groaned. "Cleaning that huge bedroom all by myself, could I even do it? Of course, as an excellent hotel employee, I managed it. Anyway, the work isn't bad. The rest of the time is free time. So now, let's make a plan." Rose sat up straight, grabbing the diary beside her and beginning to formulate a plan. She opened the diary and saw it was already filled with writing. Rose's eyes suddenly changed, a hint of surprise in them. A scream from Rose's private room startled the maids passing by outside. Rose's face paled, her whole body frozen. "What? What is this? She approached the diary with trembling hands. The diary's contents had changed? The Duke gave me poison to assassinate the Crown Prince. I put it in the box on the right, under the bed. Rose held the diary, trying to read each word carefully to understand the situation. Oh my God, could it be? Seriously? Is this real? If it is, what should I do? Rose crawled under the bed as the diary instructed to check. Judging by her reaction, it seemed everything was true. There was a bottle of poison under the bed. Rose felt confused. Now, what should I do? Then she decided to do something. Rose stood up abruptly, picked up the quill, and opened the diary. She wrote down a few characters. But it didn't seem to go as she intended. What? No, if I do this, it should respond. Honestly, haven't you read it yet? Rose didn't give up and continued writing. After a while, the diary was full of writing. Rose leaned back in her chair, breathing a sigh of relief. Oh my, all right. If it responds, it's just as scary. After finishing, Rose glanced over. Her attention caught by the water bottles on the table. Rose plotted something and smiled mischievously. First. Then she reached for one of the water bottles. 1 bottle of poison, 1 bottle of my water. Rose gave a sinister smile, her eyes gleaming with calculation. It has to be done properly, right? That night, at the palace, Calix Fosman was overwhelmed by his room. It was so polished it gleamed. On the bed, there was a neatly folded suit. He walked towards the bed, picked up the suit, feeling a bit touched. When Rose's voice broke his reverie. Your Highness, I'll prepare some tea for you. Calix Fosman turned to look at her with an emotionless gaze. Rose, seeing him looking at her, became conceited, her face full of delight. What? What is it? Is it too perfect? If you want to find fault, try it. But don't actually do it. Calix Fosman turned away, scolding her. You're so crazy. Just do what you know you should. Rose's face darkened at his frown. I worked so hard to clean, but I don't even get a single word of praise. Truly cheap, shallow, ignorant, and stubborn. Enjoy your good life alone. At that moment, Calix turned back and called Rose, startling her. Rose felt guilty. What? Did you hear that? Don't tell me you can read minds. Wrong. Calix asked slowly, word by word, why? But before he could finish, there was a knock on the door. Your Highness, it's Rule. May I come in? Rose felt like she had been saved. She cried silently. Oh my God, my heart. Then she suddenly calmed down. Huh? But Rule? If it's Rule, the second male lead? A young man slowly opened the door and entered. His cold face and snow-white hair further emphasized his aloofness. Elsewhere, Mila was cheerfully baking a delicious loaf of bread. Rose must be tired. I have to give her something delicious to eat. At the desk, one sat and one stood, looking serious. Rose was serving tea to the two. She cautiously poured the tea into the cups. Sweating profusely, her face full of anxiety. What is this? Is the tea here safe? Should I drink it to check? No, if it's poisoned, I'll die. The male lead won't die, but the second male lead will definitely die. Life is too short. Regardless, Rose stealthily glanced at the two male gods. Rule Chris, the male, leads close night. The second male lead, compared to Calix, has a better impression. But, in the end, he betrayed the male lead and had an affair with the female lead. According to the novel, Calix's heart will be broken when he witnesses his loved one happy with someone else. He's not normal either. It's better not to get involved with him. Rule spoke up. I've followed your orders. Information on the relevant people has been gathered. Alright, so what's the plan? Calix asked him. First, their recent whereabouts. Their supposed patron is the third prince. Hearing that, Rose's ears perked up. The third prince? The king has 4 children, each with the right to inherit the throne. The first prince, the son of the first wife. The second prince, the son of the second wife. The third prince is also the son of a wife. Crown Prince Calix, the son of the empress. Calix killed all 3 princes and ascended the throne, although that's later on. Is the first target the third prince? The two were still discussing their strategy. We need to narrow the distance. So, the next plan is. As Rose was putting down the teacup, Calix noticed her. He looked at her with scrutinizing eyes. Rose felt like she'd been caught red-handed. Oh my god, I must have been listening too intently. She pretended to act natural. Vanilla-flavored black tea. I've also prepared almond cookies. Calix Fosman, uninterested, called Rose, making her freeze. Why does he keep calling me? Calix gave Rose a task. I need you to run some errands. As ordered, Rose took the oil lamp and went outside. Although reluctant, she had to obey his orders. Rose smiled wryly. It's getting more interesting now. Calix instructed her, at the end of the hallway, find the third volume of the kingdom's history. In the dark room. Fortunately, Rose's eavesdropping hadn't been exposed. At the end of the hallway, find the third volume of the kingdom's history in the dark room? Thankfully, there's no suspicion. Rose regained her composure and thought, what? Of course. Because Calix wouldn't trust me. He might be reluctant to talk about politics. Lost in thought, Rose arrived at her destination. The end of the hallway is over there? She boldly pushed the door open. Inside, it was pitch black. Rose was slightly intimidated. Oh my god, it's so dark. Like in a horror movie. I have to find it quickly, and go back. Holding the oil lamp tightly, Rose slowly started to investigate. She fumbled through each book, one by one. Kingdom's history. Ah, this one. Alright, time to go back. Just when she thought she was done, a gust of wind from the outside blew out the flickering oil lamp. Rose trembled like a leaf, stammering, "Is that your highness?" But she reconsidered. No, it's not possible. The male lead wouldn't do something like this. If it's not the male lead, then who is it? The second male lead? Or was it just the wind? If they kill me, it's best to make it look like an accident, not intentional. If they start investigating, they'll catch on. It could be traced from the assassin, to the head maid, then to the Duke. So I won't give any useless excuses. Then, Rose looked to the side. She looked out the large window. Here. I think I'll be dropped down over there. At that moment, a masked man was raising his weapon high, about to strike Rose's head. Back with the crown prince, the two were still discussing. Calix asked Rule, by the way, have you investigated? Who did you send? He handed over a stack of documents and pointed at it. It seems the new maid has a background as a mercenary. I've also confirmed a connection to the Duke. Calix Fosman took the papers and reviewed them. So Rose isn't involved in this, right? Rule immediately replied, that's still unknown, Your Highness. But. Do you remember the maid's name? Calix Fosman, feeling exposed, yelled, I always remember. Rule didn't hesitate to rebut, no, you just call her, this maid or that maid. This time, you seem quite pleased. Calix grabbed his coat nearby. Pretending to change the subject. I don't know what you're talking about. Rule felt puzzled. Your Highness. Calix ignored him. It's nothing. At that moment, he noticed the time. It's too late. After that statement, the two looked at each other with worry, seemingly having guessed something. Calix Fosman rushed out. Rule, concerned for his safety, called after him, Your Highness, I'll check and be back. But Calix seemed to want to check himself. No need. It's annoying to delay the crown prince's orders. If she has nothing to do with the Duke will try to eliminate her by any means. And right when she's alone. Damn it. Calix Fosman felt furious. He urged, hurry up. Rule quickly followed behind. Yes, Your Highness. Arriving at the end of the hallway, Calix Fosman pushed the door open. He looked inside and heard a loud shout. Rose yelled from inside, why aren't you answering? The two newcomers, being yelled at like that, were dumbfounded. What? In the quiet night, the moonlight shone through the window. Rose was frightened when she noticed someone holding a sword, preparing to attack. She was shocked, her face pale. I thought I'd be thrown down over there. Then she spotted a bottle of some sort of magic potion on the shelf. Swiftly, she lunged to grab it. Then, turning her head, her eyes met the masked man's gaze. In this situation, Rose mustered all her courage. She quickly sprayed the potion into his eyes. He screamed in pain from the burning sensation. Then, he flew into a rage. Blind, he swung his sword wildly and shouted, How dare you? The situation was dire. His sword was about to strike Rose's face, but luckily she shielded herself with the book. The book was sliced in two. Rose was terrified, as if struck by lightning, because this was the book the crown prince had asked her to bring. The masked man's eyes burned even more. He rubbed them continuously and kept complaining. Damn it, I can't see anything. What the hell did you spray? Rose shouted at him, who are you? He didn't answer her question, but angrily yelled, you don't need to know. Like a raging bull, he continued to attack relentlessly. Rose barely dodged. She gasped in worry. He's crazy. Is he trying to kill me? Rose scoffed, provoking him, what I sprayed was poison, you know. Hearing this, he panicked. What did you say? Rose continued, it's the poison the dupe gave me. If you keep getting angry like this, the poison will spread and you'll die instantly. Even after hearing this, he still didn't believe her, stubbornly saying, don't talk nonsense. Damn it. Furious, Rose grabbed a vase nearby and smashed it over his head. He stumbled and fell face first onto the floor. Now he was unconscious, dazed. Rose muttered at him, even if I'm an untrained maid, I won't be killed by someone who can't see. But in reality, she was relieved. I almost died. My heart's about to explode. Afterwards, Rose approached him and asked, who sent you here? Hey, stop pretending. Wake up. After waiting for a while and not hearing anything from him, just silence, she hit him a few times and repeatedly asked, who sent you? Answer me. You won't talk? The masked man could only cry out, give me time to answer. Rose continued to scold him, is your conscience full of shit? Suddenly, Crown Prince Calix Fosman and Rule opened the door and entered. Rose and Calix Fosman stared at each other, confused. The masked man on the floor pleaded for help. Help me. Then, Rose's eyes lit up, her voice sweet. Oh, your highness has arrived. Calix Fosman whispered to Rule, it seems this is the assassin. Rose said, I think so too. But actually, she was very confused. What? Why is he smiling? Then Rose chuckled and said, since he attacked me, I'm still in the process of interrogating him. Calix Fosman stepped closer to Rose. She froze, becoming timid, her voice getting softer. He must have been sent by the Duke. But facing the Crown Prince's handsome smile, Rose couldn't help but feel flustered. Why are you smiling? Stop smiling. When a crazy person smiles, it's worrying. Then, Rose quickly took out the magic potion from earlier and stammered, this is the poison I brought. I was going to spray it on him. Calix Fosman recognized the bottle as soon as he picked it up. So it's Rick's poison. Rose thought, he knew just by looking at it? Calix said, normally, just a whiff of this would make someone vomit. Blood and die. Next, Rule went to check the masked man. As soon as he removed the black cloth covering his face, he recognized him. This face, he works at the stables. Calix Fosman ordered Rule, take care of him. And to Rose, follow me. Rose felt a little anxious hearing this. Why? Arriving at the Crown Prince's room, Rose didn't know what to do. Crown Prince Calix Fosman told her, this time, I need to hear a satisfactory answer. Rose tried to stay calm to avoid any mistakes. Calix Fosman reminded her gently, think carefully before you answer. Who are you? Rose was tense, sweating buckets. She thought carefully. Saying I'm Lee Chai-rin, a hotel employee from South Korea, is obviously not right. Saying I'm Rose Estania wouldn't make sense since he's asking. Calix Fosman's eyes still burned, waiting for her answer. Rose mustered her courage and spoke. Before I was appointed as your highness's maid, I received orders from the Duke. At that time, I received the poison, but how could there be such poison? And if you're someone who thinks, you can understand why I should kneel, right? It must be done. Quickly, Rose knelt down. She said loudly, Your Highness. Here, I will serve you with all my heart. Rose had to show at all costs that she was on the same side. Crown Prince Calix sat on his chair, chuckling at Rose's words. Then he asked her, How will you serve? Rose answered quickly and concisely, Food. Calix Fosman was stunned, not understanding what she meant. Then Rose said clearly, I think the kitchen needs a lot of improvement. Since it's the food served to your highness, it needs to be managed carefully. Also, cleaning, managing clothes, I think I can create a comfortable environment. Calix Fosman said, Perhaps you don't know that I'm the son of a traitor. Rose was surprised. Traitor? What does that mean? An incident had occurred where the Empress was accused of being a traitor. Calix continued, You won't gain anything by following me. Rose was skeptical. Oh my God, he still doesn't believe me? This suspicious man. Then she told the Crown Prince, I heard there's a new maid who arrived. Rose was still extremely anxious, her heart burning with worry. She thought anxiously, maybe I should have died today. If not today, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then the day after. Therefore, she was determined to convince him of her complete obedience. Then she cowed out a few times to demonstrate her loyalty. Rose pleaded earnestly, I can only keep my life if I'm by your side. I will absolutely be on your side. I will never betray you. Please allow me to serve your highness. This is my plea. After listening to Rose's long plea, Crown Prince Calix seemed to freeze. Then he smirked dangerously. He said, what's this? If you pleaded like this, then I'll have to accept. Hearing this, Rose's eyes lit up as if she had struck gold. She expressed her delight, I'm so honored, your highness. I will serve you with all of my small but warm heart. Calix Fosman instructed her, instead, drop that terrible formality. It's very annoying. Rose nodded repeatedly. Yes, I will obey your command, your highness. So, on the first day in this romantic fantasy novel, she successfully survived. Some other information about Rule Chris, he is His Highness's cousin and close knight. His main duties are to escort His Highness, handle paperwork assigned by His Highness, deal with assassins within His Highness's palace, listen to His Highness's complaints, comfort His Highness, and play with His Highness. Rewinding time to Crown Prince Calix Fosman's painful past, that day he had shouted, pleading desperately, explaining to His Majesty that his mother could never have betrayed him, and that the accusations were baseless. He earnestly begged, please save my mother. But His Majesty ignored everything, his eyes filled with fierceness and ruthlessness. Why should I save the woman who tried to kill me? Hearing this question from his father, Calix was stunned, all hope within him seemingly extinguished. But even with a sliver of belief left, he still tried to plead with His Majesty. At this moment, a hand reached out to support him. It was Calix's uncle. He buried his face in his uncle's chest, crying loudly, Uncle, please save my mother. She didn't do anything. You know that. But his uncle only gently advised him, Your Highness. We can't do anything. You too, Your Highness. Don't interfere now. Pretend you don't know. Only then can you survive. Even though Calix was surrounded by darkness, he still had to maintain his will. I want to live. If I don't want to die, I have to kill. If I don't kill, I will die. Scene change, Rose was happily cooking. She cheerfully and innocently showed off her creation. Freshly baked apple jam cookies and a cup of fragrant vanilla tea, how does that sound? Scene change to Crown Prince Calix's room. He woke up in shock. It turned out that the previous horror was all a dream. He was drenched in sweat, asking himself, damn it, what was that? What kind of stupid dream was that? Suddenly, Rule entered the room. He said, Your Highness, I apologize. I didn't know you were still here. Since you didn't answer, I was going to leave the report and go. Did you really sleep until now? Calix felt a splitting headache. He said, Actually, I don't know either. Hearing this, Rule was a little worried, but the Crown Prince reassured him, All right, it's nothing. What's the matter? Rule seriously reported, Yes, the assassin has been dealt with, and this is the third volume of the kingdom's history. Now that the book was split in two, Rule showed it to His Highness. Suddenly, Calix burst out laughing and told Rule, I have something to do. Scene change, Rose suddenly felt inexplicably cold all over. A chef passing by asked, What's wrong? Are you the one from yesterday? They recognized each other and cheerfully said, Still alive, huh? Living wrong, right? Then the chef asked further, By the way, why do you keep coming to the kitchen? Rose remembered who this chef was. She scrutinized him carefully. Messy hair, scruffy beard, hands that looked unwashed, hygiene score is 0, yet he cooks like this, will there be a stomachache? Then she approached and began to subtly remind him, Hey, chef. Please wear a hat, cut your nails, and trim your beard. Hearing that, the chef started to get angry, What? Rose felt a little worried and tense, her face turning pale. The chef raged, shouting, Who are you to tell me what to do? Rose tried to reassure herself, Don't be afraid, I'm a K hotel employee. She recalled before transmigrating, a guest came to drink beer and complained, This isn't it, I said give me a hot iced Americano. At that time, Rose had to bow deeply and apologize. We'll do it right away, I'm sorry, sir. Having experienced countless times like that, this is just a mosquito. Next, Rose introduced herself to the chef, Oh my, I'm Rose, His Highness, the Crown Prince's new maid. However, just think about it. She began her lecture, The dishes cooked by the chef are dishes full of affection, aren't they? But just a little, 100 millionth, what if something dirty appears, like flies? Then Rose put on her crocodile tears. His Highness is completely unaware of the chef's feelings. Those wonderful dishes will be thrown away. Well, there's no way the chef could make that mistake, she thought. I don't know if this will work. Rose continued, to prevent that from happening. After hearing these words, the chef burst out laughing. He told her, you're still surviving well as a maid, it seems it's not due to luck, huh? Rose hesitantly handed the chef's hat to the chef. He said, all right, hat, nails, and beard, I have to do as you say. Then he patted her shoulder, warmly saying, you're very bold, I like that. Rose smiled politely and replied, thank you for your understanding. At this time, the chef started to introduce himself. I'm TYRANT, the head chef of His Highness's palace since. If you need anything, just let me know. Rose replied, yes, thank you for your help, chef. Next, the chef suddenly took Rose's hand and said, I wonder if you can handle it. Rose felt something was wrong, she thought, is it time? What is this? Next, Chef TYRANT took Rose to introduce her to everyone. This is Rose, His Highness's maid, from now on, listen to what she says. Everyone welcomed her warmly and asked her a lot of things. Nice to meet you, Rose. Where are you from? However, in the corner was Aaron sitting and eating an apple. While eating, he paid attention to everything around him. It seemed like Rose was getting acquainted with everyone very quickly, almost without any difficulty. Aaron, observing everything, was also surprised by Rose. Seeing change, Rose went to see His Highness Calix, her whole body cowering as if being punished for some mistake. Calix remained seated, looking at her coldly. Rose was thunderstruck when she saw the book she used for self-defense, now torn in half, in His Highness's hands. Calix rested his chin on his hand, boredly asking, so? You have a mouth, why don't you explain? Rose was very confused now, she thought, explain how? How can I? She thought of all sorts of scenarios. 1. First she would flatter His Highness, oh my, it's just a history book, perhaps if she said that, His Highness wouldn't bother. But instead he would say, the kingdom's history is just that. Execute her immediately. This is bad ending 1. In the next scenario, Rose would pretend to cry miserably and say, there's no way in that situation, and then Lord Calix would say, truly incompetent, useless, execute her quickly. Rose still couldn't find any other way. She bowed her head and admitted her fault, saying, I'll find a similar one. His Highness Calix didn't understand what similar one meant. He told her to open the book. As soon as Rose opened it, she discovered that there were no words inside, only blank pages. At this point, she came up with thousands of other scenarios. They were incredibly absurd. And there would be bad ending 3, bad ending 4, and bad ending 5. On the surface, Rose replied, of course, Your Highness, but inside, she was burning with anxiety. What's going on? Does it have to come to this? I'm a maid, not a spy. Doesn't he understand? He said he can't trust anyone, but why me? Next, His Highness Calix threw a bag at her. Rose was dazzled as soon as she opened the bag. Because there was too much money to complain about. Rose told Calix, that's enough. Rose enthusiastically accepted the task, yes, Your Highness. When should it be done by? But Calix coldly said, I'll give you 2 days. Get out. Rose happily said, yes, leave it to me. She eagerly left, quickly slamming the door shut. Prince Calix worried, will she be able to find it? Rule, standing beside him, said, isn't that an invitation to the auction held by the third prince? I know Your Highness had a hard time finding it. It would be too much for a maid. Calix wondered, is that so? His eyes showed clear worry. Rule softly asked, then, why did you make her do it? Calix replied, me? I didn't make her do it. She said she would. Prince Calix lowered his head, helpless. Rule watched him. Calix tormented himself, extremely worried. Rule hesitantly said, if you don't want to die. Calix said, there's no other way but to kill. Calix looked distant. Rule smiled, saying, it would be great if she could find it. Hearing this, Calix was surprised. He said, what are you talking about? There's no way she can find it. It was already difficult to match the rhythm, but lately it's gotten worse. He angrily said, so what? The next morning, the maids began their laundry work. Rose read the instructions. She thought she was mesmerized by money. I shouted excitedly, but the instructions said, have been invited to the masquerade ball. Rose smiled, looking confused. This is an invitation, right? She scratched her head, thinking, judging by Calix's reaction, it seems to be the third prince's invitation. Besides the book, how can I get this invitation? Other people get to eat well and live comfortably after transmigrating into romance fantasy novels. Rose dreamed of a romantic scene, dancing with the prince under the lights. Lady Estania, you look so beautiful today. I feel like I'm drowning in your eyes. She blushed, delighted. Oh my, you flatter me. I'm so embarrassed. But that was just a fantasy. In reality, she was on a mission. She sighed, lamenting, why did I take on this impossible task? First, let's find some clues. In their maid uniforms, everyone was working hard in the early morning. Rose asked, hey, Mila? Mila turned around in surprise. She asked, do you know any nobles close to the third prince? Mila was surprised, the third prince? Rose kept asking about the third prince, making Mila startled. After a while, she smiled innocently, I don't know. No one comes here often. How could a commoner like me know? Rose was helpless, gritting her teeth, why answer as if you know? It made me misunderstand. There must be a noble family tree there. Rose continued to ask, can maids enter the royal library? Mila firmly replied, only authorized nobles are allowed to enter. Mila seemed to be lying, she covered her mouth and smiled mischievously. Then she cheerfully put her arm around Rose and said, as if she knew everything, if it's about that, I know a good place. Rose was very curious. Mila excitedly said, here's the directions to Crimson Bookstore, where they have everything. Rose had no idea what that was. She quickly handed the paper to Rose, here, take it. If it's here, you can find what you want. Rose thought, is this the secret of the people living in this world? She happily thanked Mila. Mila added, if you go out, buy me some delicious food. Rose cheerfully waved goodbye and set off, I'll be back. Mila waved back. But she was restless and worried, wondering, why do I have this paper? Following the directions on the road, Rose wandered alone through the market. A vendor asked, hey girl, how about an apple? Sweet and delicious. She gently refused, next time. She thought, I thought it would be a gloomy atmosphere, because this is a devastated area. Turns out it's not. Anyway, I successfully blended into the crowd and got out of the city. Opening the paper, she was bewildered. I don't know what Mila drew. While confused, she bumped into a passerby. He said, don't loiter and get out of the way. She quickly apologized. Her eyes widened in fear, still clutching the directions. Falling to the ground, she felt someone supporting her. Looking up, it was Aaron. He greeted her friendly. Her eyes gazed affectionately at Aaron. He was very likable, smiling gently, saying, you don't have to thank me. Rose didn't pay much attention and waved, saying, thanks. Seeing that, Aaron quickly asked, where are you going? Let's go together. I thought it would be interesting, so I followed you from the Crown Prince's palace. Rose was startled, thinking, followed me? Seeing someone following her for such a long distance, she loudly questioned, who are you? Why are you following me? Aaron was stunned. But then he smiled brightly and introduced himself again, I'm Aaron, Aaron. You're Rose, right? I was there too when TYRANT was talking. Rose quickly replied, no, not the name. Why are you following me? Aaron innocently said, because it's interesting, maybe? Are you a stalker? What's a stalker? Rose warned angrily, alright, I'm busy, so don't follow me. She turned and left. But that didn't mean Aaron would listen. Rose turned around and yelled, don't follow me. When suddenly a hand reached out in front of her. The directions fell into Aaron's hands. Rose panicked and shouted, what? Give it back. Aaron cheerfully asked, are you going to Crimson Bookstore? She was surprised to hear Aaron mention that name. You know that place too? Aaron replied, you should have said so earlier. No one knows the way better than me. Without giving her time to understand, Aaron said, follow me. Although reluctant, Rose had no other choice. The streets were desolate. The two went to Crimson Bookstore. After a while, they arrived at a deserted area. It looked old and worn down. The surroundings made Rose a little worried. Are we going the right way? The further they went, the angrier Rose became. If he dares to trick me, I'll hit him with my shoes. At this moment, Aaron's eyes looked at her with a sinister expression. But then quickly changed to a bright smile. This made Rose bewildered. She wasn't sure what she saw was right. Huh? Just now. Finally, they arrived, but this bookstore didn't look very safe. Aaron enthusiastically said, "Here it is, Crimson Bookstore." The crows cawed eerily. But indeed, there was a sign hanging in front of the building, Crimson Bookstore. Rose worriedly thought, too suspicious. Should I go back? Isn't it because the atmosphere is completely different? No, I shouldn't be prejudiced. Places like this usually have a lot of high-level information. After a moment of hesitation, she decided to go inside. Excuse me. But from the very first step, Rose doubted her choice. Did I go to the wrong place? It seems it's not here. What I need is information about noble lineages. In contrast, Aaron seemed very calm. Which forbidden book are you looking for? Forbidden book? Rose turned around in fear. Forbidden book? Yes, that forbidden book. He said as he walked over and picked up a book. So, aren't you here to find those things? Rose was surprised to see the book in his hand. Those were forbidden books, under the prince's shirt, the knight beside the tyrant. Why does the lady only give bread to the servant? Rose looked at them as if she had struck gold. What? Seeing Rose's interest, Aaron became even more enthusiastic. I don't know what you like, Rose. Tell me and I'll find it for you. Which one do you like? Exciting? Fresh? Or something else? But one book immediately caught her attention. Huh? Wait a minute. 34 Things to Prepare to Summon a Demon? What is this? Aaron quickly hid it. Oh my, what? The cover is so strange, I brought it here by mistake. That very suggestive action made Rose even more suspicious. Who is he, after all? He seems to know this place very well. Suspicious. But should I ask? But in the end, she still asked, you know this place very well, don't you? In a very serious tone, does this place sell information too? Aaron was a little surprised to hear her ask that. But then he gave a knowing smile. Then returned to his cheerful demeanor and replied, why didn't you say so earlier? There's no one like me. He quickly pulled Rose's hand. Walking along the dark corridor. A room appeared at the end of the hallway. Aaron slowly pulled back the curtain. Smiling brightly, he greeted, Grandpa, we have a guest. Inside the room, an old Mr. Crimson was diligently researching. As soon as he looked up and saw Rose, he said loudly, what? I don't see children. Aaron just started to speak up for her. No, Grandpa, this person, when Rose walked in on her own. She slammed a bag full of money on the table. She said firmly, whether I'm a brat or not, why don't you check for yourself? The old man was surprised when he saw the bag on the table. It contained a pile of shining gold coins. Old Crimson's attitude immediately changed. He laughed loudly. He looked at Rose suspiciously and said, different from what I heard, huh? All right, what do you want to ask? The Crown Prince's maid. Rose panicked when she heard those words. What? Rose just remembered. She used to intern at a casino and a hotel. Never show panic, no matter the situation. Oh my, I've saved myself the trouble of introducing myself. Rose gave an embarrassed smile. How did you know? The old man calmly replied, it wasn't that hard. Rare hair color, the fabric and high-quality pin used in the Crown Prince's palace, immediately displaying an air of compromise. A certain noble said that the Crown Prince's maid has changed again. There are also rumors that the maid has gained the Crown Prince's trust. So, do you have any more questions, Miss Rose Estania, the maid who survived and walked out of the Crown Prince's bedroom? The information old Crimson knew about her made Rose even more confident. It seems you're capable. How much do you know about the royal family? But the answer she received was, what? I don't care about the royal family. Oh well, I'll be going then. Old Crimson quickly stopped her. Oh, wait, listen to me first. Ahem, I don't usually deal with people like you. But Old Crimson quietly counted and set aside 3 gold coins. Then said, it's different if you're the Crown Prince's maid. Ask what you want. Having a chance to learn more, Rose asked, do you also trade in items? Of course, depending on the item. What do you want? The ancient royal red diamond or forbidden books from the lost magical era? But what Rose really needed right now was the invitation to the third prince's party. But there was something more important than that. Rose started the transaction. Before that, I have something I need you to look into. She thought, having survived escaping Calix's sight. I have to find out where the female lead of this world is. And what Rose wanted to ask Old Crimson was, please find out what the biggest secret Duke Tynel is hiding is. According to her guess, if the Duke wanted to hide something the most, it would be the female lead, the illegitimate child. He just needs to investigate it properly. I can also test his abilities and confirm the female lead's safety. 2 birds with 1 stone. The more I think about it, the smarter I feel. The male lead gave me 2 days, so he has to finish within 1 day. Thinking is doing, she set a deadline, just 1 day is enough, right? Crimson shrewdly recognized, are you testing me now? Rose took out the payment, here are 3 gold coins. If you give me the exact information I want, I'll double it for the next transaction, okay? It was quite a bargain, so old Crimson accepted, so you know how to use people. Alright, I'll have news for you tomorrow. So the deal was agreed upon by both sides. By the time Rose and Aaron left the bookstore, it was dusk. Aaron still had a question, but Rose, how did you know the base commission fee is 3 gold coins? Rose innocently replied, huh? Maybe it's because when Mr. Crimson counted the gold coins, he stopped at the 3rd one. Seeing Aaron's strange attitude, Rose thought, what? Did I say something weird? Why is he looking at me like that? He unconsciously smiled. Then looked at her with affectionate eyes, Rose, you're really interesting. Indeed, he continued to observe Rose after this. As for Rose, she was still bewildered by his words. A strange man. On the deserted street, only the sounds of their bickering remained. Stop saying those creepy words and just show me the way back to the city. Creepy? What's creepy about it? You're crazy. Crazy? You're too much. Night fell upon the palace. Rose's eyes looked at the thing in front of her with suspicion. It was the book she had taken from the Crimson bookstore that afternoon. Facing this book made her strangely nervous. Summoning all her courage, Rose finally decided, alright, I'm mentally prepared. Let's open it. The first lines appeared. Mr. Crimson, the forbidden bookseller, is actually an information broker. He knows everything that happens in the royal palace and the underworld. The basic transaction fee is 3 coins. This annoying diary. Telling me now, what's the point? Flipping through the next pages, useful information began to appear. Mr. Melrory is a herbalist. Melrory? Who is this? Mr. Melrory gave me a box of Besant herbs and showed me how to detect poison. When poison touches a Besant leaf, the leaf turns blue. I put the box of Besant herbs in the 3rd drawer of the desk. Reading up to that point, Shuka immediately looked around. She wondered, could it be in this room? Glancing around the room, she finally saw a drawer. Slowly opening it, she indeed found the box of Besant herbs, just as the diary described. I have found a large source of Besant leaves, still very fresh. I thought it would be good if I could detect poison. She looked directly at the book and asked, are you trying to help me? Like before, only blank pages appeared. Seeing this result, Shuka said in disappointment, if it's like this, you might as well send me home. The more she spoke, the sadder she became. Please, send me home. But she still comforted herself, don't be discouraged, it's okay. You did a good job today. Just like this, I'll survive until the female lead appears. If the female lead appears, I'll leave here and find a way to go home. Come on, I can do it, Lee Chai-rin. Rose received a letter from someone. She slowly opened it. The contents read, the Duke has his eye out a girl who looks like him, named Serena. Rose, after seeing these lines, thought of the female lead. She's still alive. My only hope is the female lead. I need to persevere and appear in front of the male lead at the right time. The messenger asked, so, what do you think about the next commission? Rose happily replied, of course. It's even better than I expected. Then Rose took out a pen. She wrote a few lines on the paper, I've enclosed the promised amount. Please get me an invitation to the masquerade ball that will be held in 3 days. Rose cheerfully bid farewell to the messenger. Great, everything is going smoothly. A moment later, Rose arrived at Calix's room. She handed him an envelope. This is the invitation. Calix frowned and said, only 1? Just in case, Rose had found 3. She silently thanked Mr. Crimson. She didn't understand why Calix asked her this boring question. Do you know what this is? Rose hesitantly said, it's probably an invitation. What's wrong? I got what I was told to get. So why is he like this? On Calix's table were currently 3 envelopes. These are invitations to the 3rd prince's auction. Because it's related to illegal activities, it's carefully managed. Who is she? Is she a spy? This thought made Calix even more uneasy. Ruel had told Calix about Rose. She's the daughter of Baron and Baroness Astanya, lived in the countryside. After her parents died of an infectious disease, she entered the royal palace and became a maid. No other unusual relationships or secret meetings have been confirmed. Clearly, Calix hadn't discovered anything. Could a maid really get an invitation to a royal party? It's too impossible. Calix recalled his past. No, is it possible? I know best what someone can do when they're cornered. If she's obeying my orders, by all means, to survive. Rose didn't know what Calix was thinking. He smiled as if he had achieved his goal. Interesting. Very good. Follow me on the day of the party. Rose froze for a few seconds. What did you say? Calix started to get angry. Didn't you hear me? Follow me to the party. Rose couldn't believe this was happening. Why me? I'm a maid. Why do I have to follow? Do I get paid overtime? I hate myself for not being able to say it out loud. Yes, I understand, Your Highness. Calix observed Rose holding her head in confusion. He just smiled without saying anything. Rose didn't know what to wear to the party, nor what to do when she got there. For the time being, Calix had to observe Rose before deciding what to do next. Rule's words suddenly appeared in Calix's mind. I'm sure you're very pleased. Absolutely not. What are you doing? If you're done, get out. Rose bowed her head. Yes, Your Highness. I'll be going now. Oh my, that hot-tempered head. I wish I could hit it. Rose went out feeling complicated. Why am I going to the party? I'm a secretary. If this were the 21st century, I'd report it to the Department of Labor. Just because he's the crown prince? How can he treat his subordinates like this? It's truly terrible. Even so, I have to go, so I need to prepare, right? Aaron at the shop was a bit surprised by Rose's words. What? Borrow your clothes? But who will wear them? Rose chirped, me, of course. Aaron wondered, what's wrong with borrowing them? Will my clothes fit you, Rose? Currently, Aaron and Rose's heights were worlds apart. Rose took them in embarrassment. I'll figure it out. Today was the day of the masquerade ball. From his face to his sharp eyebrows, Calix exuded a handsomeness that mesmerized Rose. I'm going crazy. He's really handsome. Seeing Rose staring at him like that, Calix noticed her. What are you doing? What's with that outfit? Rose excitedly said, I'll pretend to be an accessory to support Your Highness. Calix shouted, are you out of your mind? Rose's patience had its limits. That's what I wanted to say. Does he have antisocial personality disorder? Why is he always angry? What's the problem now? Then Calix walked over to the wardrobe. There was a dress already stored inside. Rose didn't know what Calix was planning. He suddenly tossed it to her. Put it on. Before Rose could fully recover from her astonishment, the dress was in front of her. It was beautiful and incredibly splendid. At this moment, Rose still didn't understand anything. Seeing her like this, Calix got angry again. You will go as my dance partner. Rose picked it up with mixed emotions. A dress? Rose was struggling with the dress. This is bad. She recalled Calix's frightening gaze. Leave the palace at 6 o'clock and go to the blue roof in front of the temple. I'll give you jewelry. Rose thought she was going crazy. There are only 2 hours left. He told me to prepare by myself without any help. How do I even wear this? It's really difficult to wear. Do people here wear this every day? It took me a whole hour just to put this on. What should I do with my hair and makeup now? Even as a maid, I should use cosmetics at least once. I must have some, right? I must have some, right? Do I? Rose's guess turned hopeless. There's none? This hateful romantic fantasy world. There's no way a baron's daughter doesn't have cosmetics. Going to a party with a bare face, is it okay? Since it's a masquerade ball, I'll look like a sick person. Or should I ask the male lead for cosmetics instead of jewelry? That's right, the diary. Can you hear me? Please send me home. If not, help me escape the party. Are you ignoring me? If that's not possible, at least give me some cosmetics. What is this? This book. Rose flipped through the pages. The writing is changing? Mr. Melrory gave me some unique cosmetics and tools and said he bought them from a passing merchant. I put them in the second drawer on the left side of the wardrobe. Wait, the wardrobe drawer? I looked earlier, there's no way that's there. Rose suddenly froze, her mind drifting back to her past life. In her past life, Rose had looked in the mirror and said, "Alright, let's work hard today too, TYRANT." On that dressing table was her makeup bag. What's going on? Rose still couldn't believe the bag she was holding. Her eyes immediately changed their expression. Brushes, lipstick, powder, the contents inside were exactly the same. For sure, it understands what I'm saying. It won't help me go home, but it gives me the things I need. The corners of Rose's mouth twitched slightly. What? Only doing what's necessary in this world? Who is Mr. Malrory? Is he still alive? How did he get my things here? Does he have a connection to Earth? Can he take me home? Am I really dead? Answer me. But the diary remained silent. Rose angrily wanted to punch it. This is too much. Calm down, this isn't important right now. There's not much time. First, let's get ready for the party. After the party, I'll be safe. I'll find out about the diary, and I need to find out if this world and magic are connected. See you later, just wait. This time, I won't let you off the hook, you know? Outside Calix's castle. Rose watched the carriage from afar. Calix was slowly stepping out. Let's go. The two were now sitting face to face. Calix said, "It's not too late." I thought we would be late. Rose's smile looked forced. He's probably trying to find fault again. How could I dare be late? That's completely absurd. Arriving 10 minutes early is what should be done. Hearing that, Calix just sighed. That way of talking is a bit. Oh well. Put this mask on. The place we're going to is the auction held by the third prince. Rose was surprised. An auction? An auction at a masquerade ball? Calix nodded. That's right. You probably don't know the relationship between me and the third prince. Meaning, there's nothing good to reveal about my identity. Be careful. Rose tried to hold back. Of course I know. I can't stand him. They finally arrived. Rose slowly stepped out of the carriage. Calix suggested to her, "Now take that off." Rose slowly removed her cloak. The dress could be seen enhancing Rose's hidden beauty. Rose was a little surprised by Calix's intense gaze. He suddenly took her hand. Then slowly lowered his lips and placed a kiss on her hand. Rose was extremely shocked. What are you doing? But then, suddenly, Calix whispered in her ear, "If you're perceptive, you'll know what role you came here as." Rose couldn't help but be startled. Isn't that so? Now that I look around, here, there are couples everywhere. Calix smiled and asked again, "Got it?" Rose nodded in response. Yes. Afterward, Rose breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, Calix isn't crazy. Suddenly, she wondered, then, should I call you C? Calix coldly replied, "Figure it out yourself." Then, they entered the royal palace together. The interior was full of sparkle and luxury. At this moment, Calix glanced at Rose and was captivated by her alluring beauty. Exuding elegance, she looked like a noble. It reminded Calix of the dress and the wardrobe. His eyes held a hint of sadness. And Calix began to remember the image of a beautiful woman. And he called her mother. The two of them were very close. However, Calix couldn't help but wonder, why give mother's dress to Rose? She could wear something else. In fact, Rose was quite hesitant at the time. What should I wear? What should I do when I get there? Finally, Calix reminded himself, don't overthink it. Simply, he needed a dance partner. Then, Calix gently extended his hand. With a polite demeanor, he invited Rose, "My lady, would you like to dance with me?" Causing Rose's eyes to widen in surprise. She didn't expect Calix to invite her, but his confident nod made Rose panic and shout, "I don't know how to dance." Despite that, Calix gently said, "Just do as you're told." So, they danced together in the middle of the banquet hall. While dancing, Rose unconsciously gazed at Calix. She suddenly realized, even with half his face covered, he's handsome. I can somewhat understand the female lead's feelings for this erratic jerk. Suddenly, Calix threatened Rose, "If you step on the crown prince's foot, you'll be executed. I'm sure you know that." At that moment, she immediately rejected him in her mind. How could the female lead fall in love with him? Afterward, Rose was extremely careful and paid attention to her feet. Watching Rose's careful movements made Calix smile. And a voice suddenly rang out, "Ladies and gentlemen, the event is about to begin. Please take your seats." As everyone went to find their seats, Rose also found her designated seat. And Rose also heard the excited whispers. The auction item this time, I heard they caught it, this time, the item is mine. They kept whispering, I really want to see it. It's good to be alive. Even if I die, it won't matter. Making Rose even more suspicious. Could it be the auction? At that moment, the host announced, the first item is the silver-maned wolf captured in Northeast Goksan. Rose couldn't help but be surprised. I knew it. Suddenly, Rose flew into a rage. These bastards. Inwardly, she wanted to curse them all. Violating animal protection laws. They should be reported for animal cruelty. How can they lock that puppy in an iron cage like that? At this moment, Rose felt sorry for it. Poor thing. Is there no way to release it? Just then, Calyx asked, what's wrong? Rose immediately said, if I buy all the items on display, will this auction end? Calyx immediately replied, impossible. But even if I can't buy everything for you, among these, I can give you the most high-end items as a gift. I hope you understand that. Hearing this, Rose thought to herself, that's right. I have no right to ask for anything because I'm here as the male lead's dance partner. I have to fulfill my role. So, Rose suddenly tightened her grip on Calyx's hand. And acted coyly towards Calyx. High-end items are expensive. Will you buy them for me? Causing Calyx to be taken aback by such a situation. But then, Calyx gently touched Rose's lips. And said with a smile, there's nothing I can't do for you. I'll give you anything you want. As she saw Calyx gradually moving closer, Rose couldn't help but feel flustered. Wait a minute. Finally, Calyx gave her a gentle and passionate kiss. Making Rose shiver, did he need to act so deeply? Suddenly, Calyx took her hand. And said, when we return, we can do much more than this, breathe, my love. Making Rose's mood even more confused. And so the auction was successful. Turning to Rose, Calyx teased, why is your face like that? Suddenly falling for me, huh? Answer me, my beautiful Rose. From then on, a war broke out between a secretive and insidious gentleman, K, and a beautiful Rose, Rose. And in turn, every item that Rose liked was successfully auctioned, and Calyx was very indulgent towards her, as much as you want, my love. Rose couldn't help but feel smug, oh my god, honestly, living in this world, I've seen everything. Suddenly, something surprised Rose, leaving her speechless. Even the other guests gasped in astonishment. They began to unveil the next product, which was also the final item. This is the white deer of the Hamel mountain range. Everyone couldn't help but be delighted by this precious item. However, Rose found it beautiful, but wasn't it just a white deer? Compared to that, pink hair and red eyes seem much more magical. Suddenly, Calyx turned to look at Rose. And teased, what, not enough yet? Rose shyly said, no, it's enough. In her heart, she thought, after all, this is the spotlight. Therefore, Rose immediately pointed at the item in front of her and shouted, K, Rose wants that. Calyx smiled insidiously and said, all right. The participating guests scrambled to compete. Until the manager asked, there's 200,000 gold, is there anyone else? This was the best opportunity for Calyx, and he offered 500,000. Leaving the manager, gasping in astonishment. Finally, the white deer item was successfully auctioned for 500,000 gold. End of the auction. Rose and Calyx went to the item pickup area. The attendant invited them to sit and wait for a moment and said that they would prepare the item right away. After the person left the room, Rose breathed a sigh of relief. Just then, she was discovered by Calyx. He even said, this is just the beginning, making Rose startled, but in her heart she cursed, can't he just tell me I did a good job, what a cheap bastard. Then Calyx said seriously, we need evidence to prove that the organizer of this auction is the third prince, the payment certificate is somewhere on this floor. He turned to Rose and asked, so, pleasant, isn't it? Rose immediately bowed in respect, yes, your highness, it is indeed pleasant. Suddenly, Calyx looked at her with dangerous eyes. And said, you seem at ease, because you're wearing a mask. I can see your expression. If you want to swear loyalty, you have to do it properly, right? Hearing that, Rose couldn't help but panic, feeling a bit scared. She quickly obeyed, I'll be careful. At that point, Calyx finally let her go. Calyx also glared menacingly, I still don't trust you, so it's best to be careful. Rose at this point could only bow and certainly obey his words. Because it was a different image from what she had imagined, she was relieved. But this man is a tyrant, later he will kill all his brothers and ascend to the throne. Therefore, Rose always reminded herself. don't let your guard down. He said he's looking for papers, the servant will be right back, so we can't leave here. Suddenly, Rose remembered a game from the past where she found an escape behind the wall. So she also thought that in places like this, there are often walls that can be opened. Is that too complacent an idea? Rose decided to try immediately. Seeing her strange actions, Calix couldn't help but be curious. What are you doing? While Rose kept trying to knock randomly everywhere. Until there was a strange noise. Then suddenly they both realized something. Calix was quite bewildered. What, really? Just then, the attendant entered the room, cheerfully saying, "You two have waited a long time, please check the items, I'll bring the paperwork right away. This is white wine specially provided by us. While you wait, please enjoy." Then the two attendants bowed. Rose suddenly felt happy. So there's wine in this world too. Why am I suddenly so happy? But then suddenly, she realized something. The wine glass had a strange scent that made Rose suspicious of it. She decided to take out a besant leaf and put it in the wine glass to see how it reacted. Rose was surprised. The result was exactly as predicted. At that moment, she looked at Calix. Seeing that he was about to drink it, Rose immediately ran to stop him. She rushed to pull the man's hand. The glass in his hand fell to the ground. There was a clattering sound, and it shattered. "What are you doing?" The man frowned. "Do you want to die?" Rose only then regained her composure, a little panicked. What to do? I was in such a hurry that I did that. She thought to herself, are besant leaves common in this world? Can I mention them? What if, she feared, what if the diary lied to me? The man exuded a terrifying aura. A voice rang out from outside. What, the room over there? I don't know, let's think later. It's poison. Rose sat on his lap and whispered in his ear. What? Calix Fosman pushed her down onto the chair. She whispered to him, someone's coming. Two masked men burst through the door. What happened, guests? They shouted loudly. There was a loud noise. Are you all right? But the sight before their eyes made them freeze like stone. What? He frowned and looked up. Rose also realized and screamed in embarrassment. The two also hurried out of the room, hastily apologizing. Excuse me. The door slammed shut. The two sat up. Rose reminded, they will definitely be back, Your Highness. Calix Fosman nodded. Damn it, I know. He gently reached out and touched the white deer. Rapid footsteps sounded outside. There were too many people waiting outside. The leader spoke first. Guests. He touched the doorknob, cautiously continuing, I heard something break a moment ago. I'm coming in. As soon as the door opened, a strong force flung outwards. His Highness the Crown Prince immediately had his sword in hand. His sharp eyes looked towards them, swinging his sword with precision. The leader holding the sword panicked. Calix Fosman slashed at him, and he cried out in pain. Blood splattered all over His Highness the Crown Prince's face. Hurry up, he turned back and ordered Rose, who also received the order. Yes. Rose was running towards the wall where the painting was hanging, thinking, I'm sure behind the empty wall, can I break it with my own strength? But she didn't have time to think further. All right, if I don't know, I'll just try. She raised her leg, kicking hard at the wall. Kick. The wall immediately cracked open, a bright crack appearing. Rose's face lit up with joy. All right. It's open, she yelled to Calix Fosman, who turned around slightly and ordered, go in. She also obeyed, yes, loud and clear. If we stay here, we'll die. She stroked the white deer. Let's go together. She stroked the pure white neck. And then suddenly realized the white deer had transformed into a young man. Rose was startled. Elf. Seeing her frozen, he quickly called out to her, is this your first time seeing an elf? What are you doing? Rose also turned her head and replied, it's my first time seeing one. Did you know this deer was an elf? Stop talking nonsense, come in quickly. After pulling her inside the wall, the door also closed, Rose panting. The elf immediately used magic to create a magic spell in front of Rose. A magic spell gradually appeared before her eyes. She had the opportunity to admire it. Over there, the elf said, if there is no magic, it can last for 20 minutes. Rose's eyes widened. Mage. She stared fiery-eyed at the elf, a wicked idea sprouting in her mind. Wait a minute, if he's a mage, he'll know how to get home, right? Damn it, Calix Fosman ripped off his mask. Here. Inside the wall was a secret room, with cabinets full of items on all sides. And inside were tightly packed books. He observed and muttered, completely trapped. He stepped back. Nevertheless, Calix walked towards a pile of shredded paper. Touching the top sheet of paper. Looks like we've come to the right place. It was densely covered in writing. The problem now is how to get out of here. The elf stepped forward and replied, there's another space. Where's the space? The elf shook his head. I don't know for sure. What? Calix Fosman frowned fiercely. What, so you're telling me to try breaking down all the walls? The elf replied calmly, not a bad idea. Rose stood in the middle, speechless. Wait a minute. I wonder if there's any place in this room where you can sense mana. So if there's mana, it means it's operated by magic. The elf nodded. That's right. Then, Rose continued, among the bookshelves, is there any place where you can sense mana? The Korean experience of reading webtoons, watching movies and TV shows, and playing games has been activated. He waved his hand. Over there, the side of the bookshelf emitted a dazzling light. Here? Rose thought silently. She gently pulled out a book. A soft click sounded, and a dazzling crack appeared again. A staircase appeared before their eyes. All right, Rose smiled, I'm a genius. A glittering staircase appeared before their eyes. Rose's eyes sparkled with hope. All right. Your Highness, a passage has appeared, Rose happily called out to him. Calix Fosman frowned. What, how is that possible? He angrily muttered and walked towards her, tightening his grip on her wrist, pressing Rose against the wall and questioning her. What are you really planning? His eyes turned red, it seemed a bit too much. Your Highness, Rose softly called him, I have a suggestion, can we get out of here first and then talk? She feared the worst-case scenario even more. What's with this expression? Will I be beheaded right away? Seeing that Calix Fosman didn't react, she softly repeated once more, let's hurry and get out of here. His expression softened. He flung her hand away. Drop that terrible formality. There's no way there aren't mages involved in illegal underground dealings up there. Calix Fosman turned around. They won't last even 5 minutes, let alone 20, so know your place and follow me. Rose's face lit up, a loud bang echoed from behind the door. She froze. We already have to run. We have to run. Rose turned back to remind the elf to come along. Hurry up and follow. She even reached out and grabbed the young man's wrist, pulling him forward. He froze for a few seconds, staring straight ahead at the pink-haired girl before his eyes. The seemingly endless staircase. The footsteps grew more urgent. Above, the bad guys were closing in. Don't lose them, the leader yelled, pointing his sword at His Highness the Crown Prince. If necessary, you can shoot to kill. Crazy, an arrow whizzed past Rose. Damn it, behind you. Calix Fosman shielded her with his sword. She also yelled, Your Highness. He turned around to fight with the men behind them. A bloody scene unfolded. Get down, the prince still had the upper hand. They stumbled and fell. Damn it, Prince Calix looked at them, panting, why are they so late? What to do, there are too many, they're continuously coming up from below. He frowned and observed, his hand gripping his sword tightly. If it was just the male lead alone, Rose was afraid, then a hand gently rested on her shoulder. The elf behind her smiled at her. His expression became even gentler. A power in the elf's hand was forming, surrounding her, clinging to her. Get away. A shout came from behind Calix. He frowned in confusion and turned around. Magical power, and the elf rushed to the prince's rescue. He held a magic bow and arrow, shooting arrows with lightning speed. The bad guys below scattered and ran. Rose looked at the elf with admiration. So cool, countless opponents at once. He kept looking at her tenderly and smiling. But Rose didn't understand why he was smiling. Watching the two flirt before him, His Highness the Crown Prince felt inexplicably annoyed. He interrupted them. We're almost at the exit, hurry up. Rose was startled. Yes, sir. Suddenly she turned around. An arrow was aimed in this direction. Aimed at the prince? No, Rose yelled. Calix also turned around cautiously. A pool of blood splattered right in front of him, onto his stunned face as he looked back. Yet, Rose shielded Calix from the arrow. Rose Estania, he yelled in panic. What are you doing? Are you crazy? He hugged her and screamed in disbelief. I'm really going crazy. Rose's eyes grew heavy. I have to go back. If I die here, can I go home? There's no other way. I'll choose just like me. A sparkling blonde girl touched Rose's flesh. Who is this? Where am I? Rose was recalling old memories. I was behind, that's right, she remembered. She was hit by an arrow. Then an image of a young woman appeared. Who is this? She couldn't see her face clearly. Then more strange scenes continued to appear. It seemed like they said something. How did it come to this? If I die like this and open my eyes, I'll see home, Rose thought, her eyelids heavy. The scene before her eyes gradually became clearer. Finally, Rose woke up. She was disappointed, so it wasn't. She had also recovered, hurriedly putting on her clothes over her patient gown. Wasn't I hit by an arrow? Rose gently touched the wound. It didn't seem to hurt much. The maid slammed the door open. Rose and Mila, with tears in their eyes, screamed. she panicked. Mila and Aaron rushed in and hugged Rose tightly, wailing, "I was so worried. I thought you were going to die this time." Mila anxiously asked, "Are you all right? Are you in pain?" "Because you used the potion, you shouldn't be in pain." Rose asked back in surprise, "Potion? Is that why it doesn't hurt?" Mila nodded in confirmation. "His Highness used 9 whole potions." Rose was even more surprised. Mila said seriously, "No, do you know how much 9 potions are?" Rose became even more curious. "How much?" "9 potions." Mila muttered, then her face darkened as she looked at Rose. "It's equal to 5 years of our salary." "So? Is it terrible?" Rose's expression didn't change. Rose calmly replied, "If you want to order someone around as you please, you have to use that much." But Mila was even more surprised by her words. "What? What are you talking about?" "Rose? 5 years." Aaron also rushed closer in surprise. "So you're all right now, right, Rose?" Rose glanced over and replied, "What? Thank goodness." Aaron laughed happily. "It would be so boring if Rose died. What would I do?" Rose frowned in confusion, thinking to herself, "This guy, why would he say that?" So, he continued to ask, "Did you get what you wanted?" Rose's face stared blankly. "Huh?" Mila also realized with a start, "I said too much." Rose is still a patient. No more bothering her. Mila chose the right moment to turn around and pull Aaron away with her. He showed his dislike. "What? I want to be with Rose." In the end, he was dragged away mercilessly by Mila. Before leaving, she poked her head in to say goodbye. "So, Rose, we'll be going now." Aaron whimpered from outside, "I want to play with Rose." Finally, the room returned to its usual tranquility. She smiled. It was really chaotic. Even so, at times like this, it's not bad to have people rush over out of worry. But, Aaron is a little suspicious. What did he mean by those words just now? I'll have to ask him separately later. At this moment, Rose remembered Calix. "Is the male lead all right? I think I shouted something before I fainted. What will happen to Elf? Since the male lead bought him, is he now the royal family's property?" And, she remembered another face, the brown-haired girl. Clearly, the female lead of the Blood Moon Kingdom has brown hair. So that was Serena? She thought. What did she want to say to me? Was there no other way? Because she was so curious, she hurriedly got up. "First, I have to go find her." Could it be that the male lead is making a sick person work? The room door swung open. Rose was holding a brown ribbon, looking at it intently. A man appeared outside the door. "Mila?" Rose frowned. "Did you leave this behind?" Surprise flashed across her face. "Huh?" Rose looked up in astonishment. "Rule?" He looked at her with a cold expression. "What's the matter?" Rose turned back in astonishment. Rule politely replied, "I apologize for disturbing your rest." "Are you all right, Miss Estania?" "Yes, thanks to His Highness's concern, thankfully, nothing else. I have something to investigate, so I came here." This sentence made her look up at him. "Is that so? Investigate?" Rose was puzzled. Rule glanced over. Then, out of habit, he stepped forward and pulled out Rose's desk drawer. She was startled and screamed from behind, "No. What are you doing?" Rose rushed forward and pulled his arm away. Opening someone else's drawer without permission. He let go of her hand and shifted his attention to the top of the desk. He touched the strange purple notebook. "Wait." Seeing Rule about to open the notebook, she hurriedly shouted again, "Don't." Rule ignored her pleas and directly opened the notebook. The pages inside were pure white. Empty. Rose was also astonished. He sighed and slammed the notebook shut. Then he grabbed Rose's arm. She cried out in surprise. "You have to come with me for a moment, Miss Estania." Rule said coldly to Rose with a frown. Inside the dark prison cell. Rule and Rose sat formally, with several guards behind them. She was also handcuffed with ropes tightly bound to her wrists. Rose panicked. What's going on now? The past was replayed. An arrow pierced through, hurtling towards the 3 people. The man was also struck by an arrow. At this moment, Calix caught her and screamed in despair, "Rose! Rose Estania! Damn it!" He was furious. "Wake up!" He shook her, but now he was met with silence. "What are you?" He recalled the moment before. "What are you, really?" When Rose took an arrow for him. "Why did you do that for me?" As Rose leaned against Calyx and he hugged her tightly, Elf silently watched. His sensitive ears began to twitch. "What are you doing?" Calyx frowned as he watched Elf jump up. "Someone's coming." Elf leaned down and reminded him, "Take her and be careful." He muttered, "I'll be back." Hearing the running below, Calyx carried Rose and ran. Suddenly, he heard a call, "Your Highness." He frowned, "What?" "I apologize for being late. The night's momentum was stronger than I thought." A man appeared behind him. Calyx stopped and coldly addressed him, "Rule." "Yes, Your Highness." The group of knights behind him knelt down. "Wipe them all out." The Crown Prince frowned. "Don't leave anyone alive." Astonishment flashed in Rule's eyes. "I will eliminate everyone who wants to harm me." Then there was a long silence. At this point, Rule's flashback ended. He flipped through the documents, without even glancing at her. Rose was also waiting for a word from Rule. "I don't know why it's like this, but I'm innocent." Rose spoke up first, just as Rule interrupted, "I have a few questions." She whimpered, holding out her handcuffed hands, "That's quite rude to just ask." Rose questioned more loudly, "Is this how the knights under His Highness the Crown Prince handle things?" Rule froze, speechless. He twitched the paper. "How did you know the wine was poisoned?" Rose frowned in annoyance, "What? Ignoring me?" "That's right," she gritted her teeth, "it's like this. Although I chose love at the end of the original story. He's Calyx's cousin and only friend. A steadfast knight and loyal subject." Rule continued politely, "I don't want to use force, so please answer truthfully." "Honestly." Rose frowned. "I used the Besant leaves that the diary gave me. If I say that, I'll probably be accused of being a witch and burned alive." Rose had to find another way. "Checking if His Highness's food is poisoned is a matter of course, isn't it?" Rule said softly, "It's not about why, but how, Miss Estania." "Can't get past this," she grumbled. "This difficult guy. There's no other way. Mix the truth appropriately. When I was appointed as His Highness's maid, I looked for some Besant leaves, just in case. You know what that is, right?" Rose chuckled inwardly, "Gotta be thick-skinned." Rule's expression darkened. He replied in a low voice, "Unfortunately, I don't understand much about that field." Rose panicked, could it be, he doesn't know? "Then, how did you check for poison in His Highness's food before?" she inquired. "That." Rule thought for a moment. "What?" Rose thought to herself, "Of course. The male lead didn't die even after drinking poison a few times. He's probably tasted various poisons since he was young due to assassination attempts, to build up his tolerance. He might have even taken sips. That's why he accepted the wine from the enemy without thinking. So, even though it's not my fault, I still apologize." Rose panicked, "So no one has checked until now?" Rule's face hardened even more. "How did you find the secret passage and the third prince's office there?" Rose thought, contemplating, When His Highness told me to look for evidence, I happened to discover it." "Is carrying out orders a crime too?" "Only key personnel know about that room." Rose shouted inwardly. "This is a common development in fantasy, idiot. Let it go. In addition, the entrance to the office is equipped with a magic mechanism. Saying that you discovered it by chance isn't convincing enough." Rose thought in astonishment. Magic mechanism? She couldn't figure it out. "You just kick it and it opens." "Hey, you," Rose continued frankly, "then wouldn't it be better to interrogate Elf, who can use magic?" "I'm just a maid who knows nothing about magic mechanisms." "Elf? What do you mean?" Rule didn't understand what Rose was babbling about. "He had disappeared when I arrived. So he escaped." "That's lucky, he won't become a slave. Don't get caught and live well. Bye." In Rose's mind was the image of Elf smiling and waving goodbye. "Anyway, I don't know." Rose became more determined. "Elf discovered the secret passage, not me. That elf sensed the place where mana gathered. Why ask this?" Rose suddenly froze. Could it be? His Highness clearly witnessed that scene too. Suddenly, Rule slammed the table in annoyance. "It seems you've forgotten. I'm the one interrogating, not you. Where did you find the letter?" Rule started to get annoyed. Rose retorted, "If it weren't for His Highness's orders, would a knight be qualified to interrogate me?" Rule frowned and reminded her, "Answer my question, Miss Estania." A loud noise came from behind. Rose leaned back to eavesdrop. Calix appeared in the cell. He angrily questioned, "Now. What are you doing?" Calix appeared with an angry expression at Rule's actions. Rule immediately reported, "Your Highness, there are suspicious circumstances, so I'm conducting a simple investigation." Rule's words stunned Rose. Is the investigation going to continue like this? Look closely, it's not an investigation, it's an interrogation. Calix's attitude remained unchanged. Why did you do that? I am a knight who obeys your highness. It's standard procedure. Do you know that my birthday is coming up soon? But the suspicious circumstances haven't been clarified yet. I told you to let it go. Rose still couldn't understand what they were talking about. That's right. In the original story, after Rule confirmed his feelings for Serena. This is the scene where Calix bullies Rule for no reason. Close your eyes, you bastard. Of course, the difference is that I'm not the female lead, and neither of them likes me. Are you planning to try finding a different maid now? They could be a spy. After a while, Rule seemed helpless against Calix. I apologize. I wasn't thinking clearly. Calix then asked Rose to hold out her hands. He immediately used his sword to cut the ropes, binding her. At the same time, he grabbed Rose's hand. Follow me. And so they left. In contrast, Rule looked guilty for what he had done. Calix hurriedly pulled Rose into the mansion. Your Highness, slow down. His actions caused her immense pain. Seeing this, Calix stopped. Not healed yet? Yes. However, Rose suddenly changed her attitude. Thanks to your Highness using 9 potions, I'm fine. If I don't move too much, I'll be okay. Are you worried about me though? Is that so? That's good. What? I have a bad feeling. Then come back in 3 days. His expression frightened her. I have to file a complaint with the Ministry of Employment and Labor. A little later, Mila was also shocked. What? His Highness used 2 more potions? Rose's days off were no longer an issue. Do you know how much 1 potion costs? That's the problem. What? It's known that 1 gold coin is equivalent to 1 million won. 1 potion costs 6 gold coins, so it's worth 6 million won. I used 9 potions, plus 2 more, about 66 million won. With my annual salary, I can't spend a single penny and have to save for at least 2.5 years. Because of that, Rose fell into despair at that moment. If Mila asks for overtime pay at this time, will she be beheaded? Mila was curious, what is overtime pay? It seemed that in this world, there was no concept of overtime. In another development, almost done. If it's done, then what? I don't know why, but there will be more work. This world doesn't have annual leave, monthly salary, bonuses, or overtime pay. When do people here get a break? I don't know what that is, but today is payday. Hearing about the salary, Rose's inner beast awakened. Mila also admitted, that's right, this is Rose's first salary as a maid. Have you decided how to use it yet? Not yet. What? Because you liked it so much, I wondered if you wanted to buy anything. Oh, right. The festival is coming up soon. How about going there? There are street stalls too. It'll be fun. I wanted to take you, but I work all week. Do you want to go with me? Someone's voice caught Rose's attention. The one who made the offer was Aaron. How about it, Rose? I can take you. Rose became suspicious. Aaron, the servant working in the Crown Prince's kitchen, is a character who doesn't appear in the original story. It's possible he's not important enough to appear. So, did you get what you wanted? Something is very suspicious. Yet, Rose agreed to his offer. That means yes. He was overjoyed. I'm so excited. Then I'll see you in front of the East Gate after work tomorrow. Despite that, Rose was still wary. This time, I will uncover his identity. Rose pondered all night. But how can I find out his identity? I also asked the other servants, but I couldn't find any significant information. The rest. Suddenly, she remembered something. Rose hurriedly opened her book. Sure enough, I wasn't seeing things at that time. Did it erase the content because I was in trouble? Although I don't know the identity of this diary, it clearly gives me what I need immediately. Rose asked it, I need to know Aaron's identity. The diary suddenly glowed intensely. Words began to appear. Today I met Mr. Malrory again. Mr. Malrory gave me a bag of powder. Made from the dried sap of the very rare elgin tree that grows in the Hamel Mountains in the north. Those who ingest the sap of the elgin tree can only speak the truth. I put the bag in the first drawer of my desk. Upon learning this information, Rose immediately searched for the bag. Holding the bag of elgin tree sap, she wondered. I really don't know what to do anymore. By the way, while I'm asking, I'll add another question. Is the brown-haired girl Serena? The girl I saw when I fainted from the arrow, it seems like she was Serena, the female lead in the original. In that moment, Rose was still curious. Why won't it tell me? Are there any conditions? And then, the next morning arrived. Rose, at this moment, was dressed in a very attractive dress. This beauty seemed to attract everyone. Perfectly ready to go out. Today's Plan 1, go find the Duke and get information about Serena. Plan 2, meet Yorn and give him elgin sap. The vacation is only 3 days. I will make the most of it. When she arrived, she started talking to the 2 guards. Hello, I have something to ask. Are you guys hungry? The 2 of them, although feeling skeptical, couldn't refuse such a beautiful girl. While eating, they kept telling Rose, your sister is working here and you want to know what kind of person the Duke is. Well, I'm worried anyway. Anyway, I can't disclose information about the Duke. Rose gently explained, oh my, I just want to know what kind of person he is. For people like us, it's important who we obey. The Duke's daughter, it seems like she's the one to obey. The guard was surprised by her question, the Duke's daughter? The Duke doesn't have a daughter. If I had to say. Did I just say that? Because there isn't one, so I said there isn't one. Rose still couldn't believe it. What's going on? After that, I asked a few more people. It seems like no one knows Serena. It's clear that Crimson found the female lead that the Duke had hidden. Did the Duke hide her that well? Even so, it's strange that there's no trace like this. Crimson's information isn't wrong, so where is Serena? No good. My plan is to push the male lead to the female lead and find a way home. If I leave it alone, will things happen as they do in the novel? Because I can't confirm the content before the novel. Suddenly, a voice called out, Rose. It turned out to be Aaron. You came early. Did you come early because you missed me? No, I also missed Rose, so I came early. I said it's not like that. Don't you listen to others? Your outfit is beautiful too. Are you trying to show me? No, just think what you want. Rose, you said this is your first time at the festival, right? Is there anything you want to do? However, Rose immediately refused him. At this moment, she was still holding the bag of elgin sap. First, let's eat. Hearing that, Aaron became excited. Rose, are you hungry? I know a place that's delicious. Wait, why is your hand like that? Just give it to me. There's no one better at giving directions than me. She had to give in to his enthusiasm. Aaron suddenly brought her to a very romantic area. Before Rose's eyes was the bustling festival scene, making her curiously look around. Along the way, many people greeted Aaron. They were all very happy to see him. And they gave Aaron all kinds of food available at the festival. Rose silently assessed, is he the type of person who enjoys privileges? No wonder he was so friendly from the beginning. Aaron led Rose to a restaurant. He confidently asserted, although this restaurant isn't famous, the food is definitely delicious. As soon as the door opened, the owner inside greeted them enthusiastically. It's been a while. What have you been doing that you haven't come? Is your uncle still well? Looking at Rose beside him, the owner teasingly asked if she was Aaron's lover. He didn't deny it but happily said, I hope so. Rose silently observed Aaron. She couldn't tell if he was being sincere or not. Rose had already confirmed the effectiveness of the elgin sap. Today, she definitely had to get everything out of him. As soon as they sat down at the table, Aaron excitedly ordered a whole bunch of dishes. Rose saw that the opportunity had come and quickly put the sap into the beer. Looking closely, one could see the difference between the 2 beers. After ordering, Aaron turned to chat with Rose for a bit. Hearing Rose say that he ordered too much food, Aaron just laughed it off, saying it was because she ate little that she was so small. As he spoke, Aaron picked up his beer glass, seemingly about to drink. Rose stared intently at him. Aaron, without any suspicion, drank the beer. Rose looked at the empty glass, knowing she could start her plan. She questioned Aaron. When I was lying in bed injured, you asked me if I had gotten what I wanted. What did you mean by that? Aaron calmly cut the meat and replied. That? The third prince went to get evidence of the crown prince's illegal auction, right? Was that the reason for looking for the invitation? But seeing Rose injured, His Highness probably knew beforehand. It seems like the third prince's spy is also capable of thinking. Rose exclaimed in surprise. how did you know that? Aaron calmly put down his knife and revealed a shocking truth. Because I'm Crimson's grandson, of course. Rose was completely stunned. It took a while for her to digest this information, and she couldn't help but yell. Aaron looked at Rose's dumbfounded expression, feeling a bit confused. But Rose was even more confused. She had never thought that Aaron was Crimson's grandson. Rose questioned, "Why are you only telling me that now?" Aaron gave a wry smile. "Rose, have you ever asked for my full name?" Rose was speechless after hearing that. Knowing the location of the bookstore, a series of incredibly proficient actions. If he was Crimson's grandson, it would explain everything. Although Aaron's reason was very reasonable, Rose still couldn't help but feel suspicious. Is that really all? She still needed to find out a few more things. And so, Rose asked Aaron again, "Why do you work in the royal palace?" Aaron replied, "Because I don't want to be like him." Aaron complained that his grandfather's work was troublesome, tiring, and involved meeting many people. It wasn't interesting at all. He preferred to travel around. He had also recently received information about a place with dragons. Rose listened to Aaron for a while and felt that his words seemed sincere. Aaron offered, "Would you like to go with me when the time comes?" Rose wondered, "Why me?" Aaron then bluntly said, "Because I like Rose." Even Rose didn't understand why Aaron liked her from the beginning. Suddenly, Aaron asked a question that made Rose spit out all the beer in her mouth. "Why did you give me Elgin sap?" Rose looked at the person in front of her, trembling. She didn't understand how he knew about this. The scene shifted to the royal palace. On the blood-stained sword of the unfortunate maid, Calix Fosman calmly sheathed his sword. Only one maid left who can be brought to the birthday celebration. He turned and ordered Rule, "Keep all the documents. If they disappear, we won't be able to catch the third prince's tail." Rule immediately bowed his head and accepted the order. Holding the documents in his hand, Calix Fosman excitedly wiped the blood off his face. "I'm really looking forward to seeing that person's expression." Back to Rose's side. After being discovered, she didn't dare to look up at Aaron. After thinking for a while, Rose decided to play dumb and said she didn't understand what Aaron was talking about. Aaron then placed his beer glass in front of her and explained. "Elgin changes color when mixed with alcohol, so you can tell by looking at it." Aaron even kindly advised Rose to be more careful in the future. Rose silently observed Aaron's reaction and found that he wasn't angry with her at all. She asked directly, "Why did you drink it even though you knew?" For a moment, Aaron's eyes glowed abnormally. But in the next second, they returned to normal. He smiled and said, "It looks fun." Rose also noticed Aaron's unusual behavior just now. But she didn't know if Aaron's eyes had actually glowed or if it was just her imagination. Aaron continued to ask, "Where did you get the Elgin?" "From the secret warehouse?" Rose didn't expect there to be a secret warehouse there. When she asked Aaron again, he dodged the question. Aaron changed the subject to the food on the table, no longer mentioning the previous issue. Rose ate while thinking to herself, if he's Crimson's grandson, being close to him isn't a bad thing. In this world, no one was on her side, so she had to survive until the original story began. To do that, information was essential. After leaving the restaurant, out on the main street, Rose thought of a way out for herself. She called Aaron back. Seeing Rose's expression, Aaron was also stunned. Rose's eyes welled up with tears as she looked pitifully at Aaron. She apologized to him. She actively admitted to putting the sap in his drink. Rose tugged at Aaron's shirt, trying to apologize as sincerely as possible. She explained that she just wanted to test him and didn't mean anything bad by it. Seeing Rose like this, Aaron couldn't help but panic. He expressed that he was fine. Rose clasped her hands pitifully. "Please forgive me." Aaron readily said that he wasn't angry with her. Suddenly, Aaron's expression changed. "From now on, Rose won't deceive me, right?" Although he was still smiling, something was different. Rose stared blankly at the unfamiliar Aaron in front of her. For some reason, Rose felt a chill. Aaron saw a fruit stand and ran over to buy some for Rose. She looked at Aaron's back, telling herself it must be her mood that made her think that way. Lost in thought, she bumped into a stranger. The hood fell off instinctively, revealing the person's face. Before she could ask anything, the person put their hood back on and ran away. Rose quickly called out, but it was too late. In the end, Rose could only watch as the person disappeared into the bustling crowd. At the same time, Aaron also returned. Rose looked into the distance and said to Aaron, "Can you help me find someone?" Back at the royal palace, Rose froze for a few seconds when she heard she had to attend the birthday celebration. She asked, "What about Rule?" Calix Fosman simply replied, he has something to do. Rose still wouldn't give up. What about the other maids? Calix Fosman coldly replied, those who aren't nobles can't attend the birthday celebration. At this point, Rose had no reason to refuse. Regarding the birthday celebration, it was held to commemorate Chemesis, the god of Phosnia, the kingdom where the male lead lived. The day of judgment, when monsters born from the curse of the demonic god Mauritius appeared. This was the royal monster hunt. Rose thought about this and cried, not understanding why she had to go there, and not even get paid hazard allowance. Her goal was to survive in this world. But Rose kept feeling like she was forgetting something she couldn't quite remember. Ah, the hat. In Calix Fosman's office. He spread out a pile of documents and told Rose to take them. To explain this incident, we have to go back a few days. Rose closed her eyes and reminisced. She was bored just resting during her break. And had organized the male lead's schedule. Then was suddenly caught by the male lead. After reading through the documents she arranged, the male lead threw her a few more and told her to do them. It seemed he was satisfied with what she did, so she now took on a part of the male lead's work. So Rose, from a maid in charge of cleaning, now had to handle a pile of documents and papers. Rose had never wanted to be trusted like this. But thanks to them, she gained some information about the world's settings that didn't appear in the original work. In this world, the power of religion was absolute. Why? Because unlike Earth, the power of the gods was very clearly displayed. A type of medicine that could heal any wound or disease. Unlike magic, divine power brought a sense of holiness. For this reason, theocratic power could be equal to royal power. Perhaps it even had power surpassing royal power. Meaning, even royalty couldn't be absent from religious ceremonies. The birthday celebration, held in the Hamel Mountains, where monsters appeared. Chemesis, the god of Phosnia, the kingdom with the male lead. A religious ceremony, commemorating the punishment of the demonic god Mauritius. Chemesis punished the evil Mauritius. And imprisoned him in a deep underground prison. Chemesis then brought light to this world. If linked to Earth's war-filled history, it seemed the demonic god was the one who lost in the war for territory. In any case, the demonic god Mauritius cursed this land before being sealed. Because of that curse, during the birthday celebration, Chemesis's holy land and Mauritius's tomb in the Hamel Mountains had more monsters than usual. The royal family became warriors chosen by the gods, having to catch monsters and prove their qualifications. Rose was just informed that only nobles could attend, so commoners couldn't be brought along. She exclaimed, the class system is truly dirty. Calix Fosman knew Rose had something to say and told her to speak up. Hearing that, Rose became bolder. She seriously said, there are many things about this ceremony that I think will be of great importance to your highness. As she spoke, Rose reenacted scenes like in a movie, leaving Calix Fosman speechless. Finally, Rose concluded. Since she wasn't familiar with these matters, she hoped Calix Fosman would understand if there were any mistakes. Calix Fosman's jaw twitched. Rose was chilled by his judging gaze, not understanding what she had done wrong. Calix Fosman tapped his fingers on the table and asked Rose. Where did you learn that etiquette? Rose hesitated, rubbing her hands. She couldn't say she learned it from TV. Calix Fosman half-coaxed, half-forced Rose to speak, saying he wouldn't kill her or anything. Rose, sweating, stammered, well, I learned it from a box. Another day at the palace ended. The day of the birthday celebration arrived. Rose, in an elegant white dress, stepped out of the carriage. She looked at the scene inside, overwhelmed by its grandeur. Suddenly, she caught sight of a young boy standing not far from her. The boy also noticed Rose's gaze and looked towards her. After observing for a while, Rose had a feeling that the face was somewhat familiar. Calix Fosman, seeing Rose dazed, called her back to reality. Rose immediately asked about the identity of the teenager. Calix Fosman confirmed her guess, saying that it was the third prince, so she shouldn't make a fool of herself. He continued, asking if he wasn't as good as that guy. Looking at Calix Fosman's "you better answer correctly" eyes, Rose immediately flattered him. That's not true at all. The third prince is still immature. Your Highness has the charm of a grown man. Your Highness is the best. Calix Fosman, encouraged, puffed up his chest. He added that he would temporarily let Rose off the hook because she had a good eye. Suddenly, Calix Fosman extended his elbow, implying that Rose should take it. Rose was a little surprised, wondering why he was suddenly more friendly than usual. Not even a second after the compliment, Calix Fosman slapped her down. Don't talk like that again, before I cut off your head. Rose fell silent, acting as if she hadn't said anything. The ceremony officially began with the Pope presenting a sword to the prince. Before the eyes of Calix and Rose. As she knew, this was the ritual of the birthday celebration. The Pope would begin by handing a sword to the royal family. If the princes carried that sword to hunt monsters in the Hamel Mountains, when the pure white sword was dyed black, it would indicate how many monsters they had hunted. In other words, it was a competition to see who could catch more monsters. This world had a very strong religious power, and earning points from the temple also helped rank the order of succession to the throne. Because it was an important ritual, usually the knights would help hunt monsters, and those who could use the sword would be considered logistics personnel, but for the tyrannical male lead, the only knight he could trust was Rule. Rule was probably protecting the documents he had painstakingly obtained from the third prince. What Rose was most concerned about at this moment was the suspicious gazes of the nobles who also participated in the birthday ceremony. They paid particular attention to Calix's appearance. And whispers began to rise, "His Highness the Crown Prince, it's been a long time since you attended an official ceremony." This time, the other princes, really. More than anyone else, Rose knew and had sensed the unclean things from earlier. When she glanced at Calix, hostile gazes continuously poured towards the two of them. There wasn't a single soul here who would side with him. Rose silently reproached Calix for not expanding his network of relationships, so now even she was somewhat implicated. Calix, seeing her glare at him, asked, "It seems like you're having some unpleasant thoughts." "That's not true at all. It's just my mood, Your Highness," Rose immediately replied. After that reply, Calix didn't ask any further questions, but just stared at Rose. Then he smiled meaningfully. The ceremony gradually came to an end as the Pope's bell rang. He began to bless the current prince, drive away the darkness and illuminate the world as a servant of Chemesis. "Blessings upon you." A halo of light appeared behind the Pope. According to Calix, it was a blessing containing the Pope's divine power. If received, there would be no risk of being attacked by monsters. "Rest assured, the range also applies to you." Rose continued to stare at Calix, making him a little puzzled. "What is it?" Rose asked if those words from Calix meant that she shouldn't be afraid of anything. Rose replied, "No, Your Highness, thank you for your concern." Calix turned away, and both continued to observe the ceremony. In a certain moment, Rose understood many things. To be honest, she was a little scared. Fortunately, there was no danger. The ceremony officially closed, and the monster hunt took place a few hours later. Rose, before she could adapt to this, had to set off with Calix. Moreover, she had to carry a backpack too large for a woman's physique, making her tremble like a leaf. "I'm going to die." "Why is it so high?" "I'm not going to die from monsters, but from suffocation." "Why is this mountain so treacherous?" Calix's figure gradually distanced itself. Rose used all her strength to call out to him. "Wait, wait." Calix heard her. He slowly turned back to Rose. Lifting the oversized backpack, Calix questioned, "What on earth are you carrying?" Rose said that inside there were only spices, snacks, cutlery, a bowl, and a towel. There was one thing Rose didn't mention, her diary, because she didn't know what would happen to her. The two continued on their way. Although Rose didn't know if she could be of any help, the current supplies gave her some peace of mind. Suddenly, Calix did something that surprised her. He took Rose's enormous backpack and said, "At this rate, we'll be late. Hurry up." Under Rose's surprised gaze, Calix, along with the heavy backpack, moved forward. "I thought he was going to throw it away, but he actually helped me." Beyond imagination. The male lead seems more comfortable now. Rose suddenly realized that this was an unexpected situation. A hot temper, not knowing how to speak politely, terrible personality, plus no friends and social skills, speaking daily in a threatening and hateful tone, somehow he still wasn't called a tyrant. Yet. Currently, Calix Fosman wasn't a bad person to the extent of being called a crazy tyrant. However, the original Calix, in order to survive, to avenge his mother, would personally kill his siblings. Ascend a blood-soaked throne, trusting no one. He would imprison the female lead, whom he loved at first sight, and ruin her life. His only close friend would betray him because of his feelings for the female lead, and ultimately be killed by Calix's hand. Rose wondered, where did it all start? He even killed his siblings? Suddenly, Calix stopped. It turned out he noticed strange footprints on the path. Calix used his hand to measure the strange footprints, and realized they were goblin footprints, and quite fresh. They usually weren't active during the day. Rose was a little scared because she had only seen those green monsters in movies, never in real life. Calix said that they were one of the typical mutated branches of Mauritius. Seeing Rose's worried expression, Calix turned to her. Then, he extended his hand towards Rose. What's wrong? Are you scared? Rose froze for a few seconds. Perhaps the image of a fierce tyrant had been shattered by the current Calix. Calix scolded, if it's not the leader,